Because he signed all those guys to ludicrous money. They had to sell out every night to make a profit. As soon as business went down, the same fate was gonna happen, because Eric Bischoff, I think, even said one time on one of the promos that he didn't know very much about anything about the wrestling business, but he knew a little bit about everything, about television or production or talent or whatever. He knew a little bit about it. He knew more about it than the WCW brain trust. The executives at TBS, he was able to convince them that he wasn't a wrestling person, and that's who they trusted. The guy that knew the least about it, besides Jim Herd, than anybody that ever been probably in a position, but they trusted him because he wasn't a wrestling guy.
That's why I didn't get that job. Well, I mean, I interviewed for the job, but, you know, after I was so closely aligned with Cowboy Bill Watts that, you know, and I'd been there a lot longer than Bill. Bill was only past 3. I got there from the get-go. And I really would like to have had the opportunity to have that role, because obviously it's good for your resume, it's good for your bank account, there's a lot of wins there. But one of the reasons that Eric got the job, and hey, look, they beat us 83 weeks in a row in the ratings, so he did a hell of a job there for a while. There's no doubt about it. And made a lot of money with that for a while. It was the fact that he sold Turner on the fact that he was a television guy, not a wrestling guy. I'm not sure he didn't bring me up, but I was perceived as a wrestling guy. So that being a wrestling, it's funny how it works out sometimes in your lifetime. I've had opportunities to do mainstream sports that I didn't get over the hump back in the day because I was a wrestling guy. Then I didn't get a wrestling job because I was a wrestling guy. So you can go crazy about this stuff, right? So I just figured, what the hell? I don't care. I'm going to be me for whatever that's worth. Good, bad, or indifferent. Just be yourself, be unique, and I never played the role of a wrestling announcer. I think that's why Lawler and I worked so well in the Attitude Era, is that we never rehearsed. He would have walked off the job if he had rehearsed. He hated it. So we didn't rehearse, we didn't know the finishes.
He didn't write his own TV till 15 minutes before we went on the air live in Memphis. Why is he going to rehearse somebody else's?
There you go. So it worked because we were different, we were unique, and we weren't playing characters. So I just, that whole Attitude Era thing was really amazing. But I also believe this. Here's one of the misnomers, guys. You see somebody online, and I do Q&As on my website. I get this a lot. It don't make error because I've already answered them. You know, it's like if WWE would go back to the Attitude Era presentation, they would automatically be successful. Well, that's crazy. That makes no sense. Are you kidding me? How old are you, 8? You really figure that's the way it's going to be? Yeah, if you could replicate, yeah, so who's going to play the role of Steve Austin? Oh, we ain't got that. Okay, who's going to be your 6'5", 275-pound, unique, ethnically unique man that women and men both like? Dwayne Johnson. Well, ain't got anybody to do that either. How about this young 6'10" babyface that has this cool gimmick, Undertaker? Get anybody? Not him either. So that's the deal. Talent's what it's all boils down to.
And to be honest, give him his credit. Vince, after the Montreal deal, thought he was going to be the babyface. Go back and watch the tapes for the 2 weeks afterwards. Thought he was going to be the babyface. Oh, the fans will all side with me because I did what I had to do. He was the greatest heel in the modern history of wrestling, because that's Vince.
Without a doubt.
Take this job, and then you got Austin. Take the job and shove it, and there you go. And the rest of it, write it Porky Pig and Bugs Bunny. Blow me, blow me, blow me, because that's going to draw the fucking money. That's as far as you needed to go, right? And it was all by accident. It wasn't planned, as many of the great things that draw money. But we're jumping ahead of ourselves.
Think about your favorite football team, and here's why they were good. They got players. Players equate to success. And in wrestling, it's not a great creative idea. It's about the talent have got to execute the ideas. A smart booker will not book what he likes. He will book what the talent can execute to that booker's acceptance level. Now think about that. You don't do what you like if your roster isn't able to pull it off. And I think that's kind of what we were able to do in the Attitude Era. We had.
How many times have you been trying to book a card and you said, boy, so-and-so's my hottest babyface, so-and-so's my hottest heel, but God, that match would stink. I got to do something else. Put them in a tag or keep them apart or whatever. That's the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes you can't make that recipe because the cake won't rise.
Funny, and then one Mean Mark Callis story that may be even funnier. I like the Undertaker story that when Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin wrestled at WrestleMania '98 and Mike Tyson was the referee, right? Nobody knew whether Michaels was going to do business the right way because he was in one of his fucking stints and he had come to town late to Boston and he had bodyguards with him and he was talking about unsafe work conditions and is he going to do the finish or whatever. And when they went to the ring, Undertaker had already finished wrestling. And he came out, he'd partially changed, and he came out, and he sat right down that chair at the gorilla position watching the monitor, and he had his fist taped up. And he sat there and watched that whole match. And finally, when Tyson boomed, and Michaels went bang, and Austin did the thing, and pinned him 1, 2, 3, he stood up and unwrapped his hands and walked back to the locker room. Because if you were coming from the ring, unless you went out the front door onto 42nd Street in New York in your underwear, you had to come right by that table. And if Michaels had not done business the right way, he would have not got past that fucking table. Now, everybody said, why did he tape his fist? It's because is Shawn Michaels' face worth breaking your fucking knuckles on? No, I think not. But my favorite Undertaker story is when he was first come in, and Terry Funk named him Mean Mark Callis because when Sid had got hurt again, it was Sid and Danny Spivey with the Skyscrapers in WCW, and Sid got hurt again, and we needed another skyscraper. Well, once again, Dutch Mantell had known, he started in Texas, Mark did, and he had worked down there, he was huge, and he had plugged into me, and I said, this guy's, got a lot of potential, so he's tall enough, we got a skyscraper. What are we going to call him? Mark Calloway sounds like it. And Terry Funk said, how about Mean Mark Callis? Okay, that's good enough for rock and roll. So we bring him in one of the first TVs he's going to. He needs a ride from Atlanta over to Alabama. We're doing the TBS TV, so he hops in the car with me and Bobby and Stan Lane. And we stopped at this little convenience store on the way to like Anniston, Alabama, or whatever town we were doing the TV in. And I'm very bug phobic. I don't like bugs, right? Stan Lane knows this. So while we get out at the convenience store and it's hot weather down in Alabama and it's humid, they got huge fucking bugs. I mean, just bugs that you will carry your fucking bag off if you set it down. And so Stan, unbeknownst to me, he gets one of these big bugs about that big laying on the ground dead, and he puts it, because I'm sitting in the back seat, Mark's in the front passenger seat, Stan's driving, and Bobby's over here next to me. He puts the bug right on the back seat in the car, so when I get in with my soft drink and my fucking Twinkie or whatever I've got, and I sit down and I'm not looking, and Mark gets in the front, Bobby gets in the side, and Stan gets in, and then Stan looks behind, right next to me, and does this face, goes... And of course I go, oh, Jesus Christ. And I jump out and throw the door open to get away from this fucking giant alien bug. And when I throw the door open so fucking hard as I'm getting out, it bounces back and hits me in the fucking head. Now, goddamn, now I'm mad at the fucking door. Now I'm fucking kicking the fucking door of the rental car. And I'm trying to yank the fucking door off. And Mark is looking around. He's already, Bobby's already been mumbling half the fucking trip. And Stan's playing with bugs. And I'm trying to drag the fucking door off the rental car. And he's thinking, what is the matter with these fucking psychopathic motherfuckers I've chosen to ride with? And he didn't say anything because, he's the new kid just happy to be there. But it had to register on him. You gotta get a car over here. Anyway, it may have been funny that you had to be there. Maybe you're glad you weren't there. As a matter of fact, there are, and I see the books that are almost sold out. I believe I've heard that. They're almost sold out. The books, there's a chapter on ribs and road stories. It's called Lots of Ants and Other Ribs. The Midnight Express were fucking hilarious to ride with because Bobby had his own, fucking style. I mean, he was the simple guy. He was the guy that would do the simple ribs. Like, you'd have a soft drink cup from McDonald's, you'd have a straw in it, it'd be full. You'd get out and take a piss at the gas station, he'd tie a knot at the bottom of the straw and feed it back through so you could take a drink and your head would cave in. Or he'd stop at the stores and get the fake vomit, like just add milk. Or, fucking dog turds, fake dog turds and shit. Stan would set up ribs. He would talk about things for a week to get your mind thinking about them. That's the Lots of Ants story that I won't fucking ruin. Dennis Convery is one that ain't in the book, but I do have Dennis's permission to tell this. I told it on Steve Austin's podcast, but for the people who didn't hear it, Dennis Convery was a tremendous worker. By the way, has anybody seen the Mid-South Legends DVD that they just recently put out? A small smattering there. If you go back and look at that, there were so many great stars like Ted DiBiase and Junkyard Dog and all these top names. But Ted was young at the time, and JYD was a great personality, but never actually a great in-ring worker per se. Not a great worker, but Dennis Convery.
With the McDonald's app, you can get your favorite thing delivered to your door, so you can eat your favorite thing while you watch your favorite thing at home. Order McDelivery in the McDonald's app.
Participating McDonald's restaurants delivering with these people.
Credit that he deserves. If you go back and watch that Bears matches, you will not find anybody smoother, anybody better, anybody more in tune with their body language and the psychology and always being in the right place at the right time, even Bobby Eaton, than Dennis Convery. He was a great fucking worker. Also, he was and still is a funny motherfucker. He's one of those guys that he didn't talk openly to friends because he didn't have information. But if you get him off by himself with the boys, he is a hilarious motherfucker. He cracks me up every time. And the funniest thing he ever did, before he was a member of the Midnight Express, his partner was named Phil Hickerson. They were the top tag team in Tennessee. They went from the Nick Gulas territory to the Knoxville territory to the Memphis territory. They were always the champions, always the main event team. And Phil was this big, bald country boy with a big belly. And Dennis was the younger guy that took a lot more bumps, and they both had bleach blonde hair at the time, even though they were by no means either effeminate looking or good looking. But they were in the territory of Tojo, who was this old-time Japanese wrestler. He was like God in Tennessee. And Tojo was also very homophobic. And so he would look and he'd see Dennis and Phil they had big lips on the ass of their trunks, and they had their hair bleached blonde, and they would do the old heel deal where one of them would take a bump and the babyface would be fired up, they'd go hug each other. And so Dennis somehow managed to convince Phil Hickerson one day in Louisville, Kentucky, that it would be a good idea to rib Tojo Yamamoto. When Tojo came down the stairs from the ring after his match into the locker room, as he turned the corner, and Dennis would have his trunks down, and it would look like that Phil was about to